7. English is not popular. Japan is a highly developed country, but unlike Europe, it hasn't embraced English. Only about 30% of the Japanese speak some English. Just 2% speak it fluently. This makes day-to-day communication a constant struggle. Unless you read Japanese, you're in trouble. Most street signs and notices are in Japanese only. Only large urban centers have English signage, and it's very limited. 8. There are plenty of natural disasters.
All right, is there any truth to this?
There is truth to this. There is some truth to this. Now, I will say that while this is true, if you are planning to move to Japan, like, you should learn to speak Japanese, right? That is generally my opinion. It's not the Japanese. They shouldn't have to accommodate you just because you don't feel like learning to speak their language.
Yeah.
But I will say, this says that like the signage is limited in like Tokyo. That's not the case. Everything's in English basically everywhere. It's in Korean as well. Like it's very accommodating.
Yeah, it depends on how how they're trying to describe this. Because when it comes to English being limited, there's so many English speakers here who don't speak Japanese at all, right?
Very
and it's
much
actually hard. Like, I do agree with what you said about learning Japanese to a degree. I know basic Japanese to get me by, but a lot of the times I use English.
Yeah.
Now, it's not something I'm proud about where I'm saying, hey, everyone, just speak English.
Well,
I
you're
do
still
think
learning Japanese.
Correct.
You're taking the effort. You live here. You're
That's
taking
correct.
the effort to, so.
That's correct, but there are a lot of people who live here who don't need Japanese, right? So it really depends on where you live. So if you're in Tokyo, maybe Osaka, right? And the type of work you're doing, right? Because if you're going to university and your work, if your university is in English, your work is in English, your fiance is, speaks with you in English, right? That's you're now in this English bubble,
Sure,
right?
exactly.
So there is some truth to it, but I believe they said it's going to be terrible for you to be here if you can't speak Japanese. They said something along those lines.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily the
No,
case.
I agree. That's not true. It's you will enhance your experience living here by learning the language, but it is not a deterrent to moving here. I don't think you should be like, oh, I'm never going to learn Japanese. Oh, it's so scary. Nah, just embrace it. Go for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Earthquakes are a regular occurrence in Japan. Most of them are harmless, and the locals are used to them, but foreigners often find them unsettling. Japanese summers are hot and humid. The winters are rather mild. However, there's no central heating in houses. You are expected to dress warmly or get a heater. Tsunamis and typhoons are relatively rare though. An American student once asked her professor,
Can a foreigner ever fit in Japan?
Sure,
the professor replied,
just study Japanese etiquette for the next 30 years, speak through a ventriloquist, and wear a paper bag over your head.
What does that have to do anything with natural disasters?
I'm just going to probably cut it at some point because it had nothing to do
Yeah.
with it at all. But let's just give our comments now. So is there any truth to that?
There is, but the reasoning is flawed. So yes, there are lots of natural disasters, plenty of earthquakes, but they're like, oh, but most foreigners don't like it. I'm like, well, that's up to you. That's up to the individual whether or not you're going to stomach that. They said typhoons are rare. Sir, excuse me, rare.
Not the case.
Okay, I'm going to
2 times a year
counterpoint
right
here. As a Florida boy, dealing with hurricanes my whole life, typhoons are rare, relatively speaking, depending on where you live.
Yeah,
So,
only 30 a year here, right? Pretty rare, huh?
pretty rare compared to Florida. No, but I mean the severity of them.
Sure.
So yeah, the typhoons when they come in, they're basically a big storm that just dumps a lot of water and it's windy.
Correct. Not too severe.
They're not too severe.
I agree
They're
with
not
that.
like hurricanes. That hurricanes will like spawn tornadoes and hail and all sorts of craziness. As far as the rest of natural disasters, if you've never experienced an earthquake before, an earthquake is unsettling, especially for the first time. But oddly, I find them kind of fun.
me too.
Dude,
Me
okay.
too.
It's
I'm
been-
like-
yeah, I've gotten used to them here.
Yeah, exact same.
I've
Yeah,
lived
yeah.
in California and Alaska, and we've had big earthquakes
Yeah.
that I've experienced. And when I've come here, the little earthquakes that I feel that go on for like 3 seconds,
Yeah.
2 seconds, right? They
Isn't
don't
there
faze
as a
me.
Yeah, I don't even get out of my chair. I just keep doing what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I'm like, oh, that's fine. Oh, if I get a notification on my phone saying like, dude,
That's
get under the
different.
table, then I'll get under the table.
Or maybe you'll think about getting on the
Or I'll
table.
think about it. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
You'll wait to
yeah.
feel it out to see how much
Yeah.
shaking's actually happening.
In terms of the summer, I agree.
Yeah,
Summer's
I-
hot and humid.
spot
Yes.
on. It
Yes.
is almost unbearable. If you cannot handle like mushiatsu, you can't handle like that sort of heat. I mean,
ve-
it's
it-
tough. It's
it's
going to
gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Again, different perspective where you're from matters because where I'm from, these summers are a breeze.
No.
they're
We've never had this conversation before.
No, we
Oh
haven't.
my
It's
God.
Is it a breeze for you?
It's not a breeze. That's an over exaggeration. It is not that bad.
I can't stand it.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
For
West
me,
Coast
it's-
boys right here.
yeah,
I can't do
I
it.
can't
Like,
do it.
it's
I can't.
murder.
I'd rather
I'm
stay
like-
at home, work at home, do anything at
Really?
home. Go out at 6:59 p.m.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
For me, I'm like getting on my bicycle and I'm enjoying the heat. And
Dog.
I'm all for it.
No,
because
shot.
here, those like 2 or 3 weeks of very hot humidness, those are pretty bad, and you got to be careful. You got to have your water, you know, you know. So absolutely, like, don't be stupid about being out in the heat, of course. But for me personally, because of my upbringing, it's fine, you know. But again, it depends on where you're from. So this video is saying that, oh, it's, you know, I disagree. You know.
There's some truth
There's
to
some
it, and it
truth
really
to it,
depends on
absolutely,
where
yeah.
you're from.
Yeah.
Great, I think that was good.
That's good. And then we can address
Yeah.
the last part here as well. I
Separately?
think separately as
Okay,
its own
which
thing. Like, can you ever fit into Japan?
Oh, the AC thing. Did you want to mention anything about
Uh,
that?
no,
No,
it's
all
fine.
agreed.
Not a whole
Okay.
video for the AC. I think that's
Yeah.
too much. Wait, you said about like the professor?
Yeah, yeah. Can you ever fit in Japan? I feel like that's a good question to ask.
Did we answer that before though?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe we talked about it, but like
Okay,
not
yeah,
this
we could just
specific.
focus on that. Sure. Let's go.
An American student once asked her professor.
Can a foreigner ever fit in Japan?
Sure.
The professor replied,
Just study Japanese etiquette for the next 30 years, speak through a ventriloquist, and wear a paper bag over your head.
What a ridiculous response. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. So if the question was, can you ever become like Japanese, right? Can you ever like integrate perfectly and become a Japanese person? The answer is obviously not. No.
And you shouldn't try.
And you absolutely should not try. You should not try and be something other than you are, 100%. But can you fit in Japan? Absolutely. You can come
They
in.
sell
You can
paper bags everywhere.
you can come in. You can make friends. You can get in circles. You're gonna have friends who like enjoy being enjoy being around you for who you are. You know, you're gonna meet. You might fall in love. You might have great relationships with your coworkers. You can absolutely fit in here. Full stop. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you can fit in, but you have to know that you are a foreigner and
Yeah.
accept that.
You can-
Don't be upset if a Japanese person comes to you and starts speaking English,
Hmm.
right? Or that there's going to be some differences between how they treat you and Japanese. It is what it is, and the faster you're able to accept that, I think it's good. Because I agree with you. I mean, I have no issues integrating to a degree. And when I mean to a degree, it's because I will never be Japanese.
Right.
But that has not been a hurdle.
No,
and
absolutely
I continue
not.
want to live here, and I am gonna continue living here. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree with both of you guys. It doesn't make any sense to, you know, use this terrible quote that just it's just these sorts of videos they drive me crazy because there's so much like falsehood in it, I guess. You know, and it's meant to be discouraging and hurtful and things like that. Whereas Japan has got an amazing culture. There's amazing people here. The language is difficult but interesting, and there's so much here to offer that I don't think a video like this should ever dissuade anybody. You know, in fact, it should encourage people to look at these points that they're trying to make.
You
and
mean
find
this
your counter?
bullshit?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
This garbage that they've got here, and just like go, why does this people say this? And then look at it from a different perspective and realize that there's so much more to, you know, being part of another culture than where you've been, and
Yeah.
it can help you grow. So I think it's I think moving to another place is a beautiful thing.
yeah, if you're respectful, you'll fit right in.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Done.
Okay, we got more. Let me see. No, not this one. This one.
17 things you must never do in Japan. 1. Tipping. Tipping is not part of Japanese culture. It may even be considered rude. Service charges are included in the bill. Taxi fares are not rounded off. Leaving coins on the table may result in the waiter chasing after you.
All right, this is pretty accurate.
This is
100%.
very accurate, and I love it. Okay, this
I'm
is
not complaining
great.
about it at all.
Great news. This is a feature, not a bug. Absolutely
yeah,
right.
yeah.
This is a reason to move to Japan.
So, have either of you ever tried to tip in Japan?
Never. I had a Japanese friend explain to me before I moved here, no,
Okay.
we don't do tipping here. I was like, sweet. Say less. I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, never had that experience.
No, I've never tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. You don't have to.
Yeah, same. I think that's a great feature right there, and the fact that they're able to just focus on their jobs and not trying to get money out of you,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I think is a great feature.
That and customer service here is like top notch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because they're not worried about that, they're not chasing after that tip. They always provide, in general, generally speaking, that the actual customer service experience is fantastic here.
Yeah, I agree. You're not trying to buy that service, or having to be worried about I want to eat out of this place, but I can't afford, or I don't agree with the tipping system.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
because there is that thing as well. So here, once you come here, you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
2. Breaking chopstick etiquette. Never stick your chopsticks in your rice bowl. It resembles a Japanese funeral ritual. Use the chopstick holder instead. Don't pass food from your chopsticks to someone else's. And never rub your chopsticks together. It's rude.
All right. So are you guys chopstick masters?
I am a chopstick master dog. Like absolutely. I'm a chopstick ninja, some say.
Okay, okay, look at that.
Not actually.
Grabbing the
But-
fly out of the air kind
So
of thing.
generally speaking, like I don't worry about etiquette, like small things, but when you know what's behind it, like it is important to follow, because a lot of these things aren't just like, oh, you shouldn't do it because it's rude. You don't do it because it has really ominous associations with funerals. So you put the chopsticks in the rice like this to honor the dead. When it's a funeral thing. Same with passing between chopsticks. That's how the funeral people pass people's bones after they've been cremated. So it draws these really clear associations. And of course, like if that's part of your culture, you don't want to see people like kind of reenacting this funeral behavior in front of you. Makes perfect sense. I think it's best to adhere to this sort of stuff. You're a guest here.
I
basically.
agree. The hashioki, the little thing that you put your chopsticks on.
Yep.
They mentioned that's partly for cleanliness.
Yeah.
But in my experience, I was at a Japanese restaurant in the States with a Japanese friend of mine sitting across the table, and I put my chopsticks in the rice as we were talking, and he literally reached across the table and grabbed my chopsticks out, pulled them out, and he says, "Don't do that, please." It made him so uncomfortable that he had to tell me then and there, and I didn't know.
Sure.
It was well before I had moved here. So I completely agree with.
Yeah, I think this is something great to keep in mind. It's not a deterrence to not come to
Sure,
Japan.
yeah.
But the thing is that for foreigners, or at least for me, when you are using chopsticks for the first time, it's easy just to put it like that.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Just standing up.
Yeah.
But once you know the actual meaning behind it and how Japanese people will respond to it, I think having that awareness is going to help you. And even though it's convenient just to put it on top, I know it is, just put it to the side or use,
Put it to the side, use a hashioki. Yeah.
Hashioki.
You can set it on the bowl to the side like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That's what I tend to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. But again, don't set it over the bowl because that makes the bridge to the underworld. You can't do that either. So
Yeah.
against the bowl, okay. Over the bowl, no good.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
3. Wearing shoes indoors. Outdoor shoes are considered dirty. They are replaced with slippers at the entranceway. When using the toilet, switch to the toilet slippers. Mind you, they are a separate set from the bathroom slippers.
We step into public bathrooms outside and stuff here. I don't want to track that into like my living room where I live, right? Presumably.
That's so funny. So I grew up with my mom, no Japanese affiliation, but she was adamant about us removing our shoes at the entrance. And so I grew up with that as part of who I am. So it's no problem. Here, one thing I love is that there's that little, 4-inch separation.
Like a
genkan?
The
Little
genkan,
genkan.
yeah, when you walk in. And
Very helpful.
yeah, so if you see that, then you know to take your shoes off. If that doesn't exist, you can walk in with your shoes off.
That's a great reminder,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
because when you go into your home in the U.S., there's no
there's no
step,
genkan,
there's
yeah,
no
there's no step.
elevation at all. So that serves as a great reminder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no. So yeah, another feature, another
Yes,
great
another
feature
feature.
we enjoy about
That's
this.
actually a reason maybe to come to Japan.
Yep.
Yes. Cleaner floors.
All right. So what do you guys think about the toilet slippers? Is it necessary?
I think there's a reasonable debate on that, but because the place is so clean, right? Like usually you flush a toilet, and if you don't close the toilet, all those like crap particles go into the air. They get all over everywhere. Makes sense. Different slippers, sure. But if you close the lid, it doesn't make the biggest difference, but also it's the way they do things here, and if your partner's Japanese, there's no
Yeah.
way you're going to escape it, right? So just
I've just gotten used to it because of that very reason.
embrace it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I'll just keep it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have no choice anyway.
Right.
Because we have Japanese partners. But the fact that I was kind of forced into that, I feel like it's more of my choice now. Like, I
Yeah.
would want that anyway.
Yeah, right.
Right. It's not like anyone has to come to me and say, put the toilet slippers on. It's like, no, I actually want to put it on.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great feature.
Personally, for me, I find them super inconvenient. And it's not a cleanliness issue. I'm wearing my nice indoor slippers and stuff, and we have a floor mat in the little toilet room. But I say it's inconvenient, one, because it's a little tiny toilet room, and two, most of those toilet slippers are this strange plasticky thing that's too small for my feet. And you
that
know
would
what
be
I'm talking
uncomfortable.
about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
So
about.
I'm less like,
And you
I
just
got my
say
slippers
it's
that feel right.
challenging for you to find shoes to begin with.
Yes, this is true.
So.
Yeah.
And I go to Muji, get some nice like cushy ones. Like it really
Muji's pretty great.
just
Yeah.
just the right selection of slipper will go a long way. I
Okay,
promise.
thank you. All right, I might end up doing that, but for right now, we have a nice floor mat there. And so, I don't know.
What do you guys think?
4. Eating on the go. In Japan, it's not common to eat or drink while walking. If you grab some fast food from a street vendor, you eat it standing up. If you snag a drink from a vending machine, chug it on the spot.
All right, there's truth to that.
Yeah, that one's again absolutely true.
So so when it comes to drinking water, I want to walk.
Yeah,
and
I
drink
get that,
water,
yeah.
Right. When it comes to just eating and just standing up in one spot, I understand that. Yeah, I have nothing else to say.
No, I unfortunately don't know the reason behind this one. I'm sure there is some sort of cultural reason that probably dates back like really far, like most everything in Japan. But generally, as a rule, if that is the social etiquette, I'm a guest here, I follow the social etiquette. I do not eat and walk at the same time. I agree, water. If like I'm on the go, I'm like, it's summer and I'm dying of like
Many
I'm sweating
Japanese
to
should do that during
Yeah.
the summer anyway, so like I don't feel bad either.
Yeah, I don't
Again,
feel-
the eating and going I don't do, but the drinking water and walking occasionally.
Yeah,
I
no.
have done both, and I get stared at.
Yeah, dog, because you're
know?
breaking the rules.
I know. So, the etiquette behind it is basically because it's so crowded here in so many places that you have a very high chance of bumping into somebody.
that makes
and
sense.
you don't want to spill your drink or your food on them.
I know another reason actually was because they actually have, depending on where you're at, they actually have a garbage can there, so you
Yeah.
can
Yes,
discard
this is
your
true.
food.
Especially for drinks.
Yeah.
Next to vending machines.
exactly.
Many vending machines will have the
Correct.
trash right there.
Correct.
Yeah, and
But like
so
even if you go to a sakusa, if you get some of the souvenirs, not the omiyage or any of the sweets or anything, then you can discard it. They usually
Yes,
have like
they
a little
usually have it
garbage
right there.
can.
Yeah.
Yep,
So-
absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. So it's just more polite not to walk around with your food here. It's just like you said, culture.
Is there a reason why you do it?
Yes, actually. So my the way that the train system works, and for me to get to work on time, if I don't have the time to be able to sit and eat a breakfast, I know it sounds crazy.
No.
But because of my commute is an hour and a half, and
Oh.
yeah, so it's so early in the morning for me to not. I can't eat breakfast that early when I leave. And then by the time I get to where I'm going, I run into the convenience real quick and I grab a little sandwich. Okay. And if I don't have time, I need to stuff my face and move, to get to
So
my
eat
desk.
in the
at time.
subway?
So not in the subway, no. When I'm leaving the train station.
Oh, okay.
So that 10, 15 minutes for me to walk to work
I see.
is
I see.
where I have done that. Now, I will usually just stand off to the side and eat, in a little corner somewhere. And that's fine. Nobody cares. But yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, I kind of play the foreign card, with that
Yeah,
one.
just,
People
I
look at me
don't
like,
know what's going on. I'm so sorry.
Exactly. I'm eating, But the same people see me every morning as I walk to work, so I can't be doing that.
Like, this asshole refuses to learn.
doesn't know.
Gonna
All our
teach him today, right?
right? All our stairs aren't doing enough. So yeah, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.